escalation of cost and time. We have seen the causes and factors affecting cost escalations, and which things to be considered in order to avoid the cost escalation of cost and time. Okay. So in previous two lectures, we have seen cost escalations, factors affecting causes, and how to prevent the cost escalations. Same way, in today's lectures, we will go through our types of cost. Okay, na? So we will see the concepts related with the types of cost. Okay. Again, important bit is related with unit number one. What are the different types of cost? So these costs are depending upon the type of work. Okay, na? Depending upon the various heads in the work, or depending upon whether it is a revised estimate or supplementary estimate. So here, depending upon that various estimate, there will be various types of cost. Okay, so there may be a prime cost also, or different types of costs are there. So we will see what is the speciality of that particular cost, and under that particular cost, which heads are considered, okay, which things are considered. So we will see one by one the different types of cost and try to complete today in today's lectures all the cost related part. Number one is the fixed cost. Okay, na? The number one is, as the name said, it has been given as fixed. Okay, na? So fixed amount, it has been taken care in this. But which things are covered in this, or what is the fixed cost? The fixed cost, it is nothing but it is the cost or a price of a commodity or an item which do not vary for a considerable amount of time. That means there is no as such change in the amount. Okay. So for a considerable period of time, suppose for 6 months or 1 year or 2 year or 3 years, the amount remains same. ठीक है ना, जो भी चीज का अमाउंट था वो फिक्स था. With it may be a commodity in the sense a construction work हो सकता है, या फिर any item of work, any item हो सकता है, commodity हो सकता है. ठीक है. So that cost is fixed for a considerable amount of time. ठीक है ना, for a particular amount of time, for a particular time span, the amount is fixed. Again, there is no as such change of the amount, change in the amount. So this is nothing but the fixed cost. So it is the cost or a price of a commodity or an item which do not vary for a considerable amount of time. There could be several factors which results in the variations of cost on time. Okay, after some interval of time, it may be changed by considering the various things, by considering the various factors on the basis of which it can be changed. Okay, but up to some extent, it is not changed. But after some months below, yeah, after some years, it may be changed due to some circumstances, due to some factors, it will be changed. Okay, na? So there could be several factors which results in the variations of cost or price. If all these factors remain same for a identified period, then the cost of that item is called fixed cost. Even though there are changes made in the price of a commodity, even though there may be a changes in the price or the cost of an item, but the ratio for the change, it is remains constant. Okay, na? For factors remain same for a definite period. Suppose, for example, for 6 months or for 1 year, the same item of work, it has the rate of the same item of work, or the rate of the same commodity is changing at a same rate. ठीक है ना, the rate is constant and for a period for a fixed period it has been changed. ठीक है, तो एक पीरियड के लिए वही बार बार वही आइटम में चेंज हो रहा है. That means this cost is also considered under the fixed cost. ठीक है ना, ये भी काई में कंसिडर होगा, फिक्स कॉस्ट के अंदर में होगा. So there could be several factors that results in the variation of cost or price. If all these factors remain same for a definite period, then the cost of all that items is called as fixed cost. Okay. So simple definition we have seen about the fixed cost. Next is variable cost. The opposite of that is nothing but the variable cost. ठीक है ना, totally opposite is nothing but the variable cost. अब वेरिएबल कॉस्ट में क्या होगा कि जैसे जैसा टाइम स्पैन बीतेगा, द टाइम विल बी चेंजिंग एज द स्पैन ऑफ द कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क, और द टाइम स्पैन ऑफ द कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क चेंजेस, और द ड्यूरेशन चेंजेस, द अमाउंट विल बी चेंज. ठीक है ना, तो हियर व्हाट इज द सेंटेंस नंबर वन, दैट इज द बिट नंबर वन. If the cost of an material varies often with respect to time or change in factors, then it is known as variable cost. That means it might change due to time as well as change in factors. There may be different factors on the basis of which it has been changed, or due to change in time. ठीक है, जैसे जैसा टाइम हो रहा है, तो due to which there will be changes in the cost of the construction work, or there may be changes in the cost of the commodity or an item of work. ठीक है, तो चेंज इन फैक्टर्स होगा तब भी देयर में बी चेंजेस, और चेंज इन टाइम होगा तब भी देयर में बी चेंजेस इन द वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. ठीक है, देन इट इज कॉल्ड एज द वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. In practice, as the production increases due to the increased demand in the market, it results in the large supply. Due to this, cost reduces because of the competitions. When the production increases, when the large amount of materials are it has been produced in the particular factories, or when the availability is more and the demand is less, okay na? And the supply rate is also when the availability increases, it results in the last supply chain, because a large amount of that particular item or that particular thing, it has to be it is in demand in the market. Due to this, cost reduces because of the competition. In order to face the competitions, because many of the companies or the many of the production industries, they are producing the same item, okay, in a large amount. So in order to have the proper in order to sell the particular product, so we have to reduce the cost, okay? The cost reduces because of the competition. In order to face the competitions, in order to this it has been the cost of that particular item is reduced, okay? When there is no supply in the market, heavy demand is created, hence cost shoots up. Okay, that means if the production is less, this is nothing but for second case is nothing, first case is nothing but when the production is more. Okay, next case is nothing but point number 3 is when the production is less and the demand is more. तो क्या होगा फिर उसके वजह से क्या होगा कि cost of the particular item of work will be increased because production is less and the demand is more. That in this case the amount or the particular item of work, the cost of the particular item of work will shoots up. That means there will be a hike in the price, or there may be an increase in the cost of the any construction or commodity or item of work, okay, due to increased demand. Next is fourth point is nothing but the tendency of increase and decrease in cost over a short period is called as a variable cost. That means due to some situations or due to some factors or due to some change in time or due to some circumstances, there may be increase or decrease in the cost of the construction work or cost of the commodity or item of work. So such all things will be considered and it has been taken care into in the variable cost. It has all been discussed in the variable cost. Okay. So it is nothing but in short increase or decrease in cost of a commodity or item of work. कोई भी चीज इंक्रीज हो रही है डिक्रीज हो रही है तो दिस इज कंसिडर्ड अंडर द वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. अगर द अमाउंट उसका फिक्स्ड होता है और देर इज अ कंसिडरेबल अमाउंट ऑफ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम द अमाउंट इज फिक्स्ड, इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड अंडर द फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट. और वेरिएबल में क्या होगा कि इट मे इंक्रीज और इट मे डिक्रीज, ठीक है, depending upon the demand or depending upon the productions, it may be increase or it may decrease. Number 3 is nothing but the prime cost. So number 3 is also an important bit related with cost. That is nothing but the prime cost. What is prime cost? Prime cost is a way of measuring the total cost of productions needed to create a given output. We have to achieve some target. We have to achieve or a particular type of item of work. It is to be completed. The total amount required. What is the total amount required for completion or executions or that is the production of particular item. So what is the total amount required? Okay? तो प्राइम कॉस्ट क्या रहेगा? प्राइम कॉस्ट इज अ वे ऑफ मेजरिंग द टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शंस और द टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन बोलो, प्रोडक्शन बोलो, है ना, द टोटल कॉस्ट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर completion needed to create a given output. By analyzing its prime cost, a company can determine how much it must charge for its finished product in order to make a profit. Okay na? So this is nothing but the complete from first stage up to the last stage. What is the total cost required to that is in factories in production industries? So what is the total cost from the starting stage up to the last stage up to the completion stage? So what is the total amount required? This is nothing but the prime cost. So that depending upon this prime cost, the manager or the higher level authorities will fix the profit. ठीक है ना? When it is when it will be for in the open market, so when that particular product is ready for sale, so this depending upon this prime cost, the profit will be decided. ठीक है? Charges for its finished product in order to make a profit. Next is nothing but by number 2 is nothing but by analyzing its prime cost, a company can determine how much charge for its finished product. Again, the same thing. ठीक है ना? So what charges will be applied in order to get a that is the sufficient profit or the amount which has been required for constructions or production of particular item of work. So from first to last stage, the total amount will be added, and depending upon that, profit will be some marginal profit will be kept, so that it will be beneficial. Okay? Number 3 point is nothing but by lowering its prime cost, a company can increase its profit margin or cut down its competitors' price. ठीक है? By lowering its prime cost, that means in some particular item of work we can lower the production cost, okay? The output cost or the production cost can be lowered. In this way the amount required for producing a particular item will be reduced, and we can have a large amount of profit, okay? Or even though the cost required for construction we have reduced, but due to the more demand we can increase its marginal profit, so that a large amount of profit will be produced, okay? So a company can increase its profitable margin or cut down its competitors' price. Okay. Next is supplementary cost. The general cost of an undertaking as whose including administrative interest, taxes, maintenance, depreciation, obsolescence, distinguished from prime cost is called as a supplementary cost. Extra cost required. In simple words, in one word, what is supplementary cost? Extra cost beyond the prime cost. Prime cost is the starting, जैसा बताया, first stage to last stage, the total cost required for producing a commodity or for production of a particular item in the factories. So this is nothing but prime cost. But beyond this, the prime cost is the actual cost. But beyond this actual cost, some extra cost will be required. Some extra cost in the form of tax, interest. We have to pay administrative work. We have to have a, that is, site office will be there. All the administrative work will be there. Accounts work will be there. All the different designing or the related with the construction of work. So there will be some administrative work will be carried out. Okay? So that amount will be required for executions or for creating certain environment for the administrative work. तो such amount will be required, ठीक है ना? तो administration के लिए ऐसा special amount will be required, interest है, taxes pay करना है, maintenance will be there, तो extra amount will be required in maintenance के लिए. Depreciation, what is depreciation? It is wear and tear of the construction of building, ठीक है ना? कोई भी commodity का या फिर item का wear and tear होता है, तो every year there is decrease in the cost of the particular commodity, ठीक है? So this decrease in the cost will be measured under the depreciations. Again, this will be assumed some amount will be decreased every year. If we are purchasing a vehicle or if we are constructing a building, so after 10 years, after 15 years, the amount required due to changes in the the condition of the building, the amount will be decreased every year. There will be decrease in the amount, okay na? So this is nothing but the depreciations. Obsolescence, again the old structures is nothing but old outdated structures. Again the cost will be reduced due to the old outdated structures. So in detail we will study this obsolescence and depreciations in the estimating and costing subject also. So in short, obsolescence is nothing but the outdated structures. जैसा अगर old massive structures, old walls in you have seen in ancient days. So you have seen the load bearing structures. So in that load bearing structures, massive walls were there, 600 or 500 or 500 mm or 600 mm or even 1 feet wall is also there. So this type of structures again will reduce the total cost. Again, this will be considered under the supplementary cost, obsolescence. Again, distinguished from prime cost is called as the supplementary cost. All these things will be considered under the supplementary cost. Next is average cost. Average में क्या होगा? As the name suggests, average is the addition divided by 2, ठीक है ना? Any two costs will be added and the average of that two costs will be carried out. So which two things will be added in order to find out the average cost? The average cost किससे मालूम करेंगे? So it is equal to the total cost divided by the number of goods produced, ठीक है ना? जो भी total cost था और जो भी जिसने suppose in a factories 1000 number of goods it has been prepared, ठीक है ना? So what is the total cost required divided by 1000? Will be the cost of one goods, will be the cost of the one item which has been produced in the factory, okay? So this is nothing but the average cost. So we have found out the average cost by depending upon the total cost required, ठीक है ना? तो total cost से क्या करेंगे? Divided by the number of goods which has been produced in a particular span. जैसा for suppose for a 1 day or for 2 days. So in these 2 days, how many products it has been produced in the factories in the production industries, divided by the total cost divided by the number of items which has been or number of products which has been produced in the factory, ठीक है ना? Simple way. So it is also equal to the sum of the average variable cost plus the average fixed cost. Again, ये तो एक था total cost divided by number of products which has been produced in the factory. Number two is nothing but we can have the average cost. We can also find out the average cost by average variable cost plus average fixed cost. That means average of variable cost and average of fixed cost. This addition will again can be used or can be help to find out the average cost, ठीक है ना. Average cost can be find out by average variable cost and average fixed cost, ठीक है. Average cost may be dependent on the time period considerations. Again, average cost will be dependent on time period. As the time span increases, or the cost will be changed. There will be change in the average cost. Okay, it will be dependent on time. Average cost affects the supply, that is curve, and are fundamental components of supply and demand. Okay, na? So this average cost is a basic thing because we are finding out the total cost, okay, na, of a particular per item of work. द टोटल कॉस्ट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर वन आइटम, ठीक है ना. एक कोई भी एक गुड्स के प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए व्हाट इज द अमाउंट रिक्वायर्ड. अब कैसा होगा कि सपोज इन अ फैक्ट्री मल्टीपल आइटम्स इट हैज बीन प्रिपेयर्ड, ठीक है ना. इन अ लार्ज बल्क अमाउंट इट हैज बीन प्रिपेयर्ड. So we can find out by dividing this bulk amount, total cost divided by bulk amount, that is the bulk products, number of products which has been produced in the factory. तो one item का amount निकाल सकते हैं, ठीक है ना. तो ये this will results in the this will affect the supply chain. This will affect the supply chain. In some cases the amount will be more, and in some cases the amount will be less, ठीक है. This will affect the supply chain. Again, marginal cost. Next is nothing but the marginal cost. So what is marginal cost? That is the change in the total cost that arises when the quantity produced changes by 1 unit. That means marginal cost कैसा रहेगा कि अब कोई चीज प्रोड्यूस हो रही थी फैक्ट्रीज में at a same specifications or at a same norms, by considering the same norms or same specifications, one item it has been produced. But after change in the specifications, कुछ उसमें change हो रहा है. Suppose the example for two wheeler or the example of four wheeler. So if there is some change in the designing part, ठीक है ना, थोड़ा सा भी अगर change होता है, that means the cost will be increased, है ना. There will be a minor change in the designing part of that vehicle or designing part of that particular that is a particular product. So this will change the whole cost of the प्रोडक्शन ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर आइटम ऑफ वर्क, ठीक है ना. थोड़ा सा भी चेंज होगा उसमें डिजाइनिंग में और क्वालिटी वर्क में, तो अमाउंट विल बी चेंज. तो दिस विल बी कंसिडर्ड अंडर द मार्जिनल कॉस्ट, ठीक है. So it is a change in the total cost that arises when the quantity produced changes by 1 unit, or it is the cost of producing 1 unit of a good. In general terms, marginal cost at each level of the productions includes any additional cost required to produce the next unit. That means same units we are producing, but a little bit change unit we are producing, a change item or good we are producing. So this, while producing a change in the designing part or change in the item of that is a particular good, so this cost will be considered under the marginal cost. Okay. If producing additional vehicle required building a new factory, is the marginal cost of the extra vehicles, including the cost. Yes, if you are producing some extra things we are using while producing the vehicles, जैसा एक vehicle produce हो रही थी normal में जैसा हो रही थी, but after 100 vehicles or after 200 vehicles there is some change in the designing part. तो जब change हो रहा है, the extra things will be required, extra machines will be required, extra tools and plants will be required, extra equipments will be required, extra manpower will be required. तो ये सारा कॉस्ट काय में जाएगा, ये मार्जिनल में जाएगा. दिस विल बी कंसिडर्ड अंडर द मार्जिनल कॉस्ट, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट इज मेंट बाय इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स और एक्सप्लेन विद एग्जांपल्स. तो दिस actually these things it has been asked in the university exams also. So here we have covered this. तो cost complete हो गया है. Next is nothing but the what is infrastructure project. Infrastructure होता क्या है और which things are considered under the infrastructure project. Infrastructure is the basic physical system of business or a nation like transportation, communication, sewage, water, electrification. अगर कोई लार्ज स्केल में कोई ये कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क होता है, ठीक है ना, इट इज नथिंग बट इंटर रिलेटेड विथ द अदर कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क. सपोज कॉलोनी इज देयर in which different things, a society it is to be constructed or a colony it has to be constructed, in which the residential part is also there connected with this, roads will be there connected with this, water tanks will be there connected with this, playgrounds will be there connected with this, community centers will be there connected with this, transformations or electrification tower will be there. So all these are considered under the infrastructure project, ठीक है ना. सिर्फ एक बिल्डिंग से कनेक्टेड जो काम हो रहे हैं, बिल्डिंग सिर्फ कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं हो रहा है, बट बिल्डिंग से कनेक्टेड देयर इज अ लार्ज सोसाइटी, इट हैज टू बी इट हैज बीन कंस्ट्रक्टेड, कनेक्शन विद दिस रोड्स विल बी कनेक्टेड, connection with this various sewage plants or rectification towers will be connected, or transformation units will be it has been installed. So all this will be considered under the infrastructure project. मतलब infrastructure project में ये सारा club में it will be considered under the infrastructure project. These systems are high cost investments and are vital for the country economic developments and prosperity, because the, various things, various aspects it has been covered simultaneously, because we are working with the roads also, we are working with the electrifications and water supply also, sewage treatment. So all these are interconnected with the society. These are the interconnected with the common man. Therefore, in this, by constructing these things, the economic there may be increase in the economical developments of our country, the economical development will be more, and the prosperity of the of our country will also be increased by large amount of this by constructing these infrastructure projects. Okay, these systems may be funded publicly, privately, or both public-private partnerships. Triple P partnership. What is this triple P? We will study in detail what is the triple P. So triple P is nothing but public-private partnerships. ठीक है, public-private partnerships. ऐसे ये जो infrastructure projects will be it will be taken by, or it will be constructed by public sectors or private sectors, publicly is funded publicly, privately, or both. Some amount will be beared by public and some amount will be taken care by the private sectors, taken up by the companies. Next is fourth point related with this infrastructure project is nothing but the constructions. The construction sector is the second largest employer in the India after agriculture. So here, the construction industries, a large amount of employees or large amount of that is manpower, it is required in construction industries. So it is nothing but the second largest employers. Okay. Again, fifth point is related with this infrastructure is nothing but 32 million workers and accounts of 5% of India's GDP will be taken care by this infrastructure projects. Okay, up to near about 32 million workers it has been it has been employed in this construction industries. Investment in construction sectors includes infrastructures में क्या क्या include होगा, roads, railways, airports, bridges, highways. Industrials में steel plants, textile plants, oil pipelines, refineries. Real estate में residential and commercial buildings will be considered. What are the different examples of the infrastructure projects? What are the different examples of the infrastructure project in India? The highways are there. The highways, streets, and roads are the common types of infrastructure projects which has been carried out in nowadays. The highway projects are also nowadays it has been carried out highways, streets, and roads, which has been included in the infrastructure projects. Okay, while more often than not streets and roads are repair projects, they are no less complexity logistically than other infrastructure projects. Okay? As a result, repair projects can incorporate street that is resurfacing. It's less expenses because maintenance work is also carried out, because infrastructure project में कैसा होगा, it is a long term projects, so it is not as only the construction work will be carried out. ठीक है ना? If there will be a maintenance of highways, maintenance of roads or bridges, or maintenance of any there is a maintenance in the various fields, so this also will be included under the infrastructure projects. ये सारा maintenance और repair works भी काई में include होगा, roads का, streets का, highways का, तो it will be included under the infrastructure projects. Okay. Next is again a separate bit is there. So bridges are there. So bridges are an important part of infrastructure construction projects. 4% of highway bridges considered to carry significant traffic as considered structural deficient. So this 4% of traffic will be diverted in these bridges. So we can divert this traffic in the bridges. So bridges plays an important construction. Bridges plays an important role. So this again will be an important part of infrastructure. That is the construction of project. Okay. तो ब्रिजेस में फिर क्या होगा, आफ्टर सम स्पैन आफ्टर यूज में देयर मे बी रिपेयर वर्क्स मे बी देयर और रिकंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द ब्रिजेस मे बी देयर. So this again its maintenance part or the repair works will also be considered under the infrastructure projects. Okay. Mas, mas, sorry. Okay. Mass transit airports and airways will also be taken care in this infrastructure projects. Airports, construction of airways. ठीक है. So this will be considered under the infrastructure projects. ये भी सारे काम ही considered होगा. This will be considered under the infrastructure projects. ठीक है. So construction of mass transit, airports and airways. One areas of infrastructure construction projects that is going in airport retrofitting. What is retrofitting? That is nothing but the repair works. ठीक है ना. अगर कोई इसमें construction work में if we have to increase the lifespan. Okay, if we are increasing the lifespan of that particular that is the particular construction work, so we have to have this retrofitting technique. It has been used. Okay, na? In order to if there is cracks are there or any in the airports or in the any construction work, so we can avoid or we can with the help of this retrofitting techniques we can have the maintenance for this various structures. Okay? So this retrofitting of airport it has been taken care in this infrastructure projects. Okay, many of the nation's largest infrastructure construction projects are airport reconstructions and retrofittings. Okay, na? Reconstruction is also there and retrofitting work is also there taken care in this infrastructure projects. Okay, again, the overhang. These projects often require not only the laying or relaying of utilities and services, but also runway will be required or various things related with the airports will be required. Okay, na? So all this it has been considered under the infrastructure projects. Next is water supply and resources. Again, an important it has been considered under the infrastructure project is water supply and resources. Okay, so water supply में क्या होगा? Water supply and water resources are incredibly crucial to life because without water, water is the basic need of the human beings. So water supply lines and the water resources from upstream to downstream, that is from the dams or the various upstream sides. So we have to supply the water for it can be used in the daily needs. So therefore, all these it has been considered under the water supply pipelines and resources from that is the upstream side up to the downstream supply chain. The supply of the water will be there through pipelines. So this will be considered under the that is the infrastructure projects. Okay, so depending on the states you live in and what the local laws are there, many of the water infrastructure projects are on updating water distribution services and improving draft resistance. ठीक है ना? Draft resistance. So this where there is a scarcity of water. ठीक है ना? So in order to avoid this, we have to supply a water when there is ample amount of water is there. So from that areas we can supply the water to the where there is the scarcity of waters, where there is a little water available. ठीक है? So here, this supply through the pipelines and supply through the various means can be carried out in this infrastructure project. Okay, so we have to fulfill where there is a draft areas there, where there is the scarcity of water is there, where there is a little amount of water is available. So from the areas where the large amount of water is available, we can supply with the help of the various pipelines or various means. So this will be again the construction of that construction of various things related with the supply of the water supply. So this will be considered under the infrastructure projects. Okay, waste management and waste water management. Again, this area is again very important nowadays. This waste management and waste water management. So here again, this field is again considered under the infrastructure projects. Okay, so waste management and waste water management is one of the most important type of infrastructure construction project. So it is what keeps citizens safe. Okay, so in order to avoid the pollutions, in order to avoid in order to have the safe transportation of waste from the residential and the commercial areas, keeps our city clean. So there should be a transportation unit will be there, transportation of the residential areas from the individual, that is the household waste can be taken, and it will be dumped at the outside the city. Okay, na? So all this will be required. Transportation various vehicles will be required. So this again, this whole network will be taken care under the infrastructure projects. Okay? So the safe transportation of wastage from the residential and the commercial areas keeps our cities clean. Waste products can include trash, recycling, and the wastewater also. Okay? So these must be removed. It is to be moved from the residential and commercial areas, and in order to avoid the diseases, in order to avoid the various diseases, so this to be dumped in the outside the cities. Okay? So there is a separate area. It is in which it has been dumped. So all this from taking the waste from the residential and up to the dumping of this in the outside the city, all this network, all these vehicles will be required, all this management will be required, and various things will be required related with the waste management. There is waste management and waste water management is also there. Sewage, various pipelines will be required. And the residential sewage, that is the water waste which has been taken from the kitchens, or which has been taken from the bath. So all this waste will be carried out through the pipelines and will be in various. It has been transported and will be dumped in the various things. Okay. This all this management will be carried out in the infrastructure, or will be taken care in the infrastructure projects. Okay. So again, there is a vast field of this waste management and wastewater management. Okay. Power generations and transmissions again will be included in the infrastructure projects. So power generations and transmissions. Okay. So one thing is we are producing a power, electricity. It has been produced. The hydroelectric power stations are there. So various power stations are there. So with the help of that, we are producing an electricity, and we are transfer that electricity which has been produced in the that is it has been used on the other hand. Okay, na? So infrastructure construction projects includes power generations and transmissions. These projects can include construction of the power generations plants. The various plants will be that is being constructed, and various structures will be required. Power transmission, various facilities will be required, and various transmission that is the things will be required for transferring the electricity from one end to the other end. Okay, na? We are transferring the electricity from where it has been generated and where it has been used. Okay? So this all things it has been carried out. Construction of various units will be carried out. Construction of various things will be carried out. Power stations will be carried out, and the whole that is the network from the generations to the use of the electricity. This transmission will be carried out in the infrastructure projects. Okay? Telecommunications. Okay. So again, telecommunications is also included nowadays. Various there is outside the India also, and within the India we are interconnected with the there is interconnections. We are interconnected with each others. So this interconnections is possible due to the telecommunications technique. Okay. So telecommunication is what allows the world to be an interconnected as it is. Okay. So as a result, the infrastructure construction projects surrounding telecommunications are essentials. These There are areas in India that have limited access to the various telecommunication services. You can see in rural areas, in outskirts, where there is a congestions, or where there is a limited access to the networks. Okay, so we have to provide a proper network, or we have to provide a proper connections, telecommunication. That is the connections related with this, in order to avoid the areas, rural areas. So यहाँ पे various connections will be carried out, various supply of the that is the internet connections, the telecommunication connections will be carried out again in thickly populated areas also. One thing is rural areas and urban areas. In urban areas, in some areas, when there is congestion in the telecommunication services. Okay, so extra there is the telecommunication towers will be required in order to avoid these congestions in the thickly populated areas. Okay, na? So in order to avoid this, so again this will be considered. All these erections of the towers or the various construction work will be carried out under the infrastructure projects. Okay, telecommunications. Next is hazardous waste removal and storage. Again, the important is hazardous waste. Okay, so hazardous waste which has been introduced from the which has been produced from the factories. Okay, so hazardous waste removal is an important type of infrastructure construction project, because this hazardous waste will because it can directly affect the health. Okay, na? So in order to dump in a proper way, proper the areas, so we have to construct that area in which we have to dump the hazardous waste. Okay, so various means will be required in order to remove this from the where factories or the construction industries where the hazardous waste it has been produced, and we have to dump into the areas. A special area will be constructed in a very special place where it will be dumped. Okay? So hazardous waste removal is an important type of infrastructure construction project. These infrastructure construction projects are responsible for ensuring the harmful materials like nuclear materials are safely stored. The safe construction of these sites is crucial to maintaining a healthy population, populations. Okay? In order to avoid pollutions, in order to avoid the various diseases which has been caused due to this hazardous waste, so special structure will be constructed. Massive structure will be constructed. Massive walls will be constructed. Heavy structure will be constructed, and so that the waste which has been dumped will not affect the health of the human beings. Okay? Na? It should not affect the environments. It should not pollute the environments. Okay? So this will be again considered construction of these projects, or the construction of these buildings will be carried out under the infrastructure projects. Okay? So in this way, in today's lectures, we have gone through different types of the projects, types of the cost, various types of the cost we have seen, and the various infrastructure projects we have seen. Okay? Na? So here, these are the important things which we have studied in the today's lectures. Okay? So everyone, is that clear to everyone?
Yes,
Aman,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Sir.
ठीक है इसमें आज के लेक्चर्स में वी हैव सीन अबाउट द टाइप्स ऑफ कॉस्ट एंड वी हैव सीन द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स ठीक है ना ये सारा यू शुड हैव अ नॉलेज ऑफ दिस ठीक है ना इफ समवन सेज that I'm being appointed as an engineer in infrastructure project ठीक है ना so which things are included in the infrastructure projects ठीक है ना which things are included and which things are included under the infrastructure projects or what are the different types of the cost ठीक है तो ये सारा कॉस्ट भी being an engineer you should have a knowledge of this all these different cost and the different infrastructure projects मतलब कौन से प्रोजेक्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में include होते हैं this hazardous projects are there that is the transmission towers or the water supply lines is there है ना so all these will be considered under the infrastructure projects ये सारे जो things है ये सारा infrastructure projects में considered होता है again we have seen about the types of cost also so here we will end this today's lectures so anyone having doubts anyone having any bit which has been not understood any queries any doubts is there yes okay so we will give the attendance roll number 1 to 10
Roll number 2.
Roll number 7.
roll number 7